Hi people, it's me Anja, my pronouns all she and her, and welcome back to my channel for part 4 of my favorite middle-grade books with black main characters, because if nobody else is going to promote black middle-grade books during Black History Month, or frankly at any other time of the year, I will. So the first book on this list is called Aniana Del Mar Jumps In. This story is a middle-grade contemporary following a young Dominican-American main character navigating her new diagnosis of juvenile arthritis. And I think this book is so awesome and it's so well done because, first of all, I love books that feature main characters that are both disabled and black, as someone who is also black and disabled, because I feel like oftentimes the majority of the books that I read about with disabled main characters, the main characters oftentimes always white. So I love intersectionality. I think that intersectionality is so incredibly important and it's so incredibly underrepresented, but especially featuring the black community. So I loved that representation. Second of all, I loved the characters and the family dynamics and everything, like the plot and the pacing and the writing was so good and so well paced. This book is so underrated and I love it so much because I think it's so excellent and it's so important and it's so necessary, and there's so many young black people out there who might be navigating a new diagnosis or something like that who will feel seen by this main character. So anyway, with that said, I would definitely highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Sicily. This story is a middle-grade contemporary following a young black Panamanian main character who is at a new school with new classmates who are questioning her dual heritage. I think this book is so fantastic and it's so good because, first of all, I love it when a young main character really delves into her history and her heritage and the ways in which it impacts how she's perceived in a modern day setting, if that makes any sense. I loved her family dynamics and the characters and the plot and the pacing and the writing and everything about it, because I just love a good solid coming of age story featuring a young marginalized character, and everything felt so real and honest and transparent, and all the characters truly felt like real people, which is one of my favorite factors of a really good book. So anyway, this book is so excellent and it's so fantastic. I'm so excited to read new books by this author. I think they had a book come out last year, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm excited to read that one soon, I hope. But anyway, in conclusion, this book is absolutely so good and it's so fantastic. So with that said, I would definitely highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Blood in the Water. This story is a middle-grade contemporary mystery that follows a young black main character who's investigating the death of a popular boy. I thought this book was so good, and it was so thrilling, and it was so fantastic. And I loved everything about it because I love it when a main character spends a lot of time with new family members that she's never really spent a lot of time with before in a new town, and she's feeling like unfamiliar with this new environment, just because I love the fish out of water trope. And this also depicted everything so well. The mystery is so well paced and it's so good. I love the characters and the family dynamics and the mystery and the plot and everything. Tiffany has a new book, another middle grade mystery, coming out in I think August, and I'm so excited to read it because I love stories that really have a mystery that's baked into like the history of the family or the history of the town or something like that. Anyway, this book was so good and it was so fantastic. So with that said, I would definitely highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Will There Be Monsters? This story is a middle-grade steampunk sci-fi fantasy that follows a young black main character who's always wanted to explore her magic, which is magic that is only accessible to children. So I think, if I'm remembering correctly, if children like age out of it or something like that, I don't know. It's a very fascinating concept. Basically, she's always wanted an adventure outside of her family's like quaint inn, which serves as a sanctuary. And I think this book is so fantastic and it's so good. I'm so excited to read the sequel, which I think comes out in May, just because like the world building is so fantastic and it's so magical and it was so fascinating. I loved the setting and her family's history and the characters and the plot and the pacing and the writing and everything. This book is so fantastic and it's so good. Like, I need people to read this book. Like, it's so excellent and it felt so unique and so magical and just so good. So anyway, with that said, I would definitely highly, highly recommend it. The last book on this list, and definitely not the least, is called Radiant. This story is a middle-grade historical fiction following a young black main character in 1963 against the backdrop of the Kennedy assassinations, the Birmingham church shooting, and Beatlemania. I thought this book was so fantastic and so well done. I've mentioned this a multitude of times in the past, but historical fiction is one of my favorite genres, and all of my favorite historical fiction books truly humanize the characters and make me feel seen, because like history often parallels with modern day, especially when it comes to the treatment or the mistreatment, I should say, of marginalized people. And I thought this book was so good. The characters are so well developed and so distinct. I loved her family dynamics and the plot and the writing and the pacing and everything. This book is so good and it's so underrated. I read it at the very beginning of last year, I think, and I think it's so excellent and so well done. I wanted to read more historical fiction in 2025, and I think I achieved that. I don't actually know. But anyway, in conclusion, this book was so good. So with that said, I would definitely highly, highly recommend it. So in conclusion, as we all know, I love reading middle grade, and I will always promote and highlight middle grade, especially when it comes to black middle grade stories that make me feel seen as a black person, but also just like diverse middle grade stories in general. So anyway, with that said, happy Black History Month. I hope this video helps diversify your bookshelf. I'm not sure if I sound more articulated and more eloquent in this video versus my last one, which I just finished filming less than an hour ago. But anyway, in conclusion, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the rainbow emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!